Game number 2 begins and it's going to be on Arabia. Yeah, it's Arabia, exactly as we guessed. And well, this is, I think, a pretty good choice for the LoS team, as this is one that they should be winning if they actually want to think about taking the Grand Finals title from RTS League. Looking at the civilizations, we have Follow Your Mind as Mayan, whereas Skull is Mongol, Yannick is Hans, with LoS being Miguel's in Chinese. Ooh, well, that's interesting. Safado, aka Ryut, is Mongol, whereas Alucard is Han, so they are playing the same civilizations. And, well, that's actually quite interesting, the switch between Chinese and Mayans. That's something you don't see all that often, at least from my experience in RTS League, and we will be definitely interested to see what this is going to mean. Already Bor being stolen in here from Yannick, exactly like in the semifinals against NC, and this is damn well played. Well played from CZ, and they are going for it right from the start, and Safaro, aka Ryut, is going to be slowed down, which is of course a bit of a problem, as he is Mongol. He is Mongol, and well, yeah, he definitely could use one extra boar, but was it actually LOS or was it the Jedi B? There was a clan in the middle of the group stage where actually a Mongolian player lost the boar to steal, and he was actually given a boar by his pocket, which was very nicely played. And let's see if this is going to be happening here, because it would definitely be worthwhile for the Mongol, as Mongolians are one of the most important civilizations on Arabia. You can see Bor already been taken into the base by Follow Your Mind, as he doesn't want to lose one exactly as his opponent Safarao did. So let's see where the other Bor is at the very back. So yeah, it should be reasonably defensible for him without any kind of problem. Safarao right now discovering the scout right next to him, but probably he isn't aware that he has already lost the Bor. One of the yellows is at the back, whereas the other one is, oh, quite open actually. Let's switch into yellow to actually see if he's aware of it, as it might be wide open. Oh, he actually knows, but it might be still wide open for the purple player to actually steal back, and it will be seen if that is going to be happening. I would be kinda guessing that this pause is exactly because of the stolen boar, as they are trying to determine if it was stolen or not. You can see Sapporo going for the boar at the bottom, but well, of course, he doesn't see the other one, as it is not there anymore. Nicely played. Now let's have a look around the map for the other players. Boar in here, the second one on the left, and yeah, you can see that Miguelzin is already working his way inside with some of the deer in here from the top, as he doesn't want to waste any kind of resources on the mill in here, possibly hoping that he can beat Russian. But as a pocket, well, anything can happen, and as a Chinese, well, wouldn't really be all that sure if that is the game plan for him. Otherwise, he's kinda plastered to the wall, which leaves him with very open map, as the stone on the left and gold on the right is not really all that safe, whereas this one, the base one, is kinda okay. But he needs to make sure that he actually somehow protects this one as well, because without it, he will be in a pretty tough situation, being really very open, especially on this left side. That could be a bit of a problem, and will be open for Raiden by his opponents. Very nice steal or steal. They are basically in the middle of them, so not any kind of problems. And Saparao is right now saying that he will be playing against Hans as his Mongol. Quite a lot of sheep for the blue player, of course. He's trying to run a bit into Green's base, maybe hoping that he can actually discover the second boar. One is already being butchered, whereas the second one is, oh, actually quite far away still. Let's switch into Alucard. He at least knows about it, so he has seen the scout in here as well, and he should be seen when actually this guy is going to be also being stolen, if it actually is. And it seems like that there is a bit of a lack for the players. That's kind of unfortunate, of course, for their playing experience. And well, this is also quite nicely played by Alucard Guts, as he basically just wants to see what is going to happen inside opponent's base and what the strategy is going to be. Unfortunately for him, he has already lost the scout. This seems like a green one, really. And that's a big problem, as this means that he won't be having any kind of line of sight on pretty much anything that is happening inside the opponent's base, and he will be just hoping that he can see when his opponent is going for farms or something like that. So we are still not advancing into the next ages, but that's not going to be far behind, as we are already nearing the 20 villages. You can see Safaro is still at 18, so he is not really far behind, even though he has lost the bar, and he still seems to be in a pretty good situation. Very nice berries together with the deer right next to it is also helping it quite a lot, of course. And looking at the Volin, well, he might actually want to finish at the top. There's a route around this pond. And is he actually guessing that it's blocked? I kinda hopes that he doesn't. It could be pretty nice strategical position for him, of course, to lure some archers in there or other knights when he has archers, so that could be some kind of strategy for him. But yeah, he wants to be careful about that as he really doesn't want to be caught off guard by this. There was just a topic about this on Reddit some days ago, and well, from my experience of casting RTS League, players actually quite often optimistically assume that the path is blocked, but well, yeah, it actually usually isn't. Unless you see it correctly, rather right off that it's running next to the wall, you shouldn't assume anything at all. But you can see that even the top players are actually prone to making some such kind of mistakes. And well, let's have a look around, and well, we can see that blue player is just trying to make sure that he sees absolutely everything around his opponent. Alucard Guts already having some militia inside. And right now saying that he is going to be playing against Mayans, of course, for quite some time earlier. Definitely should have seen it, but that's just a bit of team communication between them, trying to establish where each of them are. 3 players advancing into feudal. Miguel's insane pocket might go scout, he's Mongol and explored me, okay. That might be a pretty good idea, and let's see if Miguelzin is actually reading the game correctly. He was reading it quite well in the first Palisade arena, so I wouldn't really be thinking that he is wrong in this kind of idea. Oh, this is nicely played. He's actually going for it quite interestingly. And I have to say that Yannick is going, oh, for a trash. Oh well, that's interesting. Is it going to be full trash or not? That's just going to be for the next minutes to decide. And well, you can see that Safarao is just now finished with the barracks going into feudal age. And well, Yellow will definitely have to hurry up, because if he doesn't want to be surprised by anything in here, which he definitely will be, as he doesn't know about the tower, he soon will. He will be in a pretty tough position, because obviously this is his main goal, and does he have something extra at the back? He actually has, so it's not going to be all that much of a problem. And unfortunately for Yannick, this is going to be pretty much a waste of resources, but at the same time, it's going to disrupt what Yannick is doing, or rather what Safaro is doing right now, and that's also and always quite valuable for your game. You can see he's already dropping, of course, the stable, as he will be going for some scout cavalry raiding, but unfortunately for him, he basically mismanaged his early game, as he was letting himself be housed, as he probably wasn't counting with the early spearman, and that, yeah, was something that disrupted his play. In the base of his opponent, though, oh, you can see quite gutsily placed archer range inside, as he is also under attack from his opponent Alucard. We have seen those militias in there, and well, they are attempting to disrupt the economy, but unfortunately for him, they are not going to be all that successful, and of course, Follow Your Mind will be going for an offensive with archers very soon indeed. So Drush basically doing nothing at all for Alucard, just possibly just the defense with the palisade walls next to the goal. Otherwise, we don't really see all that much interesting, just the fight happening on the right, and very nicely protected tower by the palisade walls. But the tower at least did something, as it forced the release from this wood line, which is also very important because it is extra 50 wood. Or how much actually does lumber camp cost? 50, 100. Just confusing with Age of Mythology in here. And that is also counting in the very early game, because it's resources that you are not going to be getting back at all. Quite nice economy so far for Yannick, so he seems to be pretty nicely established, but he needs to be careful because of the raiding by Riot, and he seems to be quite aware, but it at the same time means that he won't be the one attacking his opponent anytime soon. So nicely played so far by both Yannick and Safarao. Safarao, even though he had one village less, or rather one boar less at the very start of the game, he's still playing very well indeed, keeping even in score very close to his opponent. And well, we already see that Teal is quite nicely preparing on the middle, basically trying to scout where he should be raiding his opponent. Yellow already quite nicely prepared also, with another flank of scout cavalry trying to raid his opponent, but without any kind of luck, as it seems like that Red is paying quite a lot of attention, and he was expecting the raiding on his side. On the left, Alucard is going for a bit of a skirmishers, as he's trying to defend against his opponent, already with Blacksmith. Basically, is seeming like he wants to jump into Castle Age sometime soon, but well, you can see that Miguelzin is going to be quite a lot faster, with CZ Skull following close behind. So nicely played right there by the green player, and also, of course, the LoS overall, and well, Seems like a pretty good amount of archers by Follow Your Mind, and he will be in a pretty good position to go for it in here. Let's wait for this battle. A pretty big hill advantage for Alucard gods, and yeah, it's basically meaning that Follow Your Mind will have to be quite a lot careful, so that he is at the same elevation as his opponent. Not having all that much of a luck, so let's return back to purple and yellow, how they are doing. Still quite a lot of scout cavalry, and oh well, that's kinda that's kinda careless by Yannick, as he's not paying enough attention in here. And right now he's 4th of gold, which is of course quite problematic for him, as he wants to have as many resources as he can. Well, he's actually switching, or rather attempting to switch into archer ranges, which could be either normal archers, yeah, right now normal archers, or when he advances into castle age, it's going to be, of course, also cavalry archers, which are going to be quite successful on this very open Arabia map. Very nicely positioned spearmen are of course going to be basically stopping any kind of raiding by Yannick, and he should be switching potentially into red as well. There's not going to be any luck with the purple player right here. Raiding already going on in Green's base, as he's forced even to build a tower. That's definitely unexpected and something that he is not going to be all that happy about. But well, Skull should be a bit more careful, as he is getting all the extra damage into CZ Skull's Scout Cavalry, and yeah, that's not something that he will be all that happy about. On the left though, it seems like that Green has actually lost all his army to some kind of skirmish in here. Yes, it's him. So it almost seems like that Follow Your Mind out-microed him, and looking at the amount of army right now, and with the help from Skull, this is a bit of a problem, as he might be forced to actually be helped by Miguelzin. But at the same time, that's not happening, as Miguelzin is already in the next stage and going for knights into full-on offensive onto Yannick, and they will be trying to kill him together with Safaro. So let's see if they will be successful. As the switch into archers is kinda interesting from Yannick, but I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be the correct choice, as you can see that he is under pretty heavy attack of knights, and he will be waiting for some kind of help by his ally, and well, Skull is already sending some camels into the help, so that might be just enough. Let's see if it's going to be nicely played. Knights may come in here, and well, yeah, he definitely needs green player some help from his red teammate. Otherwise, the tower is still up, not much interesting else in here, whereas Yellow trying to return back into his own base, as he's under pretty heavy attack, and that's going to be a bit of fun for him and his teammate in the middle pocket, Skull, for actually defending. Those guys are almost dead, so they are not really all that much of a threat, so if potentially sees that Skull can somehow corner in somewhere, or maybe even lure him under the TC, he will be in a pretty good spot, and yeah, he will be just in a good position to get rid of it all. Well, he is still quite nicely open in here, so that's yet again a pretty big problem for Skull if he actually doesn't plug it, and he doesn't seem to be aware at all. Let's switch into his point of view, and yeah, he actually knows, but he's not getting enough, so he's hoping that all the attack is actually going to be coming onto the yellow opponent, and he is even attempting to raid his red pocket opponent, and hoping that he can be enough to actually force them and abandon the radiant themselves. So let's see, as blue is actually switching from the green player into here, forcing some gold miners off the mine, and well, he is also himself under pretty heavy attack on the left, but it doesn't seem to be enough, as well, Follow Your Mind seems to be playing this game quite nicely. He's also having very nicely an opportune hill right next to his gold, which of course makes for very nice defense of him, and well, this is definitely going to make his game all that much easier. Castle Ages for Follow Your Mind, Ryut and Yannick. Quite nice advances for CZs. Quite nice advances for CZs, as they will be all three in the castles, whereas the last one from LoS, it's going to be Alucard gods, is still in feudal, and it's still going to be quite some time before he is advancing up, as of course he was quite heavily raided by his opponent, and that did damage to his economy. Alucard gods is right now though at 45 villages, so it doesn't seem like it was all that much of a damage, so he would be probably... Oh, is he actually slinging? Let's check into achievements real quick. No, he isn't, so that's just going to be decided by pure skill by everyone, and you can already see that Yellow is very intent in getting into Ryut's base and killing some villages, as there are quite a lot of them, and just one town center, which means it's going to be very easy to disrupt the economy of his. Still a lot of raiding going on at the bottom. Decent amount of camels from Skull, and also archers by Follow Your Mind, who are basically denying any kind of gold gathering, and there is extra gold on the left, and well, he definitely needs to move there as soon as possible. Here blue, there's some kind of attempt at an army by Alucard Guts, but he doesn't really have the correct army in here, as already they are crossbowmen and they should be strong enough even against skirmishers, especially when they are being attacked also by knights by skull. So nicely played, and bit of a problem for Alucard Guts, as he doesn't seem to be having enough to deal with this problem. Still goal being denied in here, so let's switch onto the top, where it seems like that Safara will be very soon breached, as the house is coming down in just a matter of moments, and we'll be seeing if he is prepared for this kind of assault. Already some houses being prepared, so that's going to be yet a bit longer for Yellow to go through, so he seems to be abandoning this side, and well, he does have a very wide open way inside his opponent's base, but he doesn't want to go through here, because he would be under pretty heavy attack by the town center, and receiving damage that he doesn't want to get. Yet another attempt by raiding by Riot on the gold release of Yellow, and I'm kinda thinking that Yellow should be already preparing some kind of defense. Especially when he's in Castle Age, I would be expecting that a town center right about here would be exactly what he needs, but he still doesn't seem to be interested in it, and possibly is having hopes for something else. Should be having resources rather soon. It's going to be a bit of a disruption of gold gathering, as they are just in range, and yeah, not enough luck for the green player, as he is the whole time under some pretty hard scrutiny by his opponent. So nicely played. A bit of a problems for Alucard Guts all the time, whereas the red is right now in a pretty good position, as he has forced his opponents off his base and is also himself having a pretty decent amount of knights, but since he is Chinese, he's probably wanting to advance into Imperial Age sometime soon, already having 2 town centers, rather 3 town centers, which is pretty much enough, and once he advances into Imperial Age, that's of course going to be switch. Of course going to be switched into Chukonus, and yeah, that's very hard to deal with when they are very nicely masked. Yannick having a pretty decent army of crossbowmen trying to deal with some knights of Safaro, but he doesn't seem to be doing all that good job as you would have hoped for. To be careful about the hill, of course, and well, even though Skull is trying to help him, yeah, with the extra help by Miguelzin, this is something that CZ won't be able to handle. Almost seems like that Yannick is going to be losing quite a lot of crossbowmen, because with the reinforcements of red into purple, that should be more than enough for them to deal with all these problems. And yeah, you can see that Yellow is trying to find some closed space, and it seems like that this one is exactly that. Even though he's going to lose everything, he's still in a pretty good position. To actually deal as much damage as he can and basically deny any kind of raiding from his opponent before it is absolutely necessary. And you can already see that Follow Your Might is yet again inside the base, and there's actually a way through in here that was walled but isn't anymore, and there's still quite a lot of villagers that he actually could be killing. But does he know? I'm just interested if he knows about this part of the map behind the pond, because he doesn't, but if he actually camps there, it might be just out of range of the TC6. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that's definitely out of the range, whereas for those crossbowmen, he should be having range enough to kill them one by one, just by standing around here. Well, that would be quite fun for him, of course, but he seems to be quite comfortable with the game as it is right now. 3 TCs for Alucard Guts, but unfortunately for the green player, he doesn't have anywhere to go, as he needs to be careful, as there are 2 flanks of crossbowmen from the blue player. Bit of a problem from Skull, as he's trying to finish his castle as Mongol in the pocket, but well, of course, he's right now being raided by Miguelzin, as his timing is very nice indeed, and he is exactly at the right place at the right moment. So a lot of believes that for CZ Skull, who is right now at 78, but he was a bit more than that, and even though that's the same as Follow Your Might, it's still quite a lot fewer than Miguelzin, who is at already 91. 91 Chinese, oh man, this is just waiting for the disaster to happen for CZs. And as long as they can actually hold on into the Imperial Age for Miguelzin, I'm kinda thinking that he will be basically steamrolling absolutely everything in his path, as he's having a very strong economy and seems to be doing already quite a good job in here. Some nice upgrades going into the economy on the right side. That's a pretty good job, and also seems like reasonably defended by Yannick, whereas tower is already gone for Safarao, and Safarao seems to be in a pretty good position and pretty good mood, as he's having a lot of knights and basically will be prepared for the advance into the next age reasonably soon. He has also made sure that his gold is available for him, as he's going to be finishing with the one on the left as well. Whereas, let's have a look on some kind of crossbowman fight in the middle. And, well, you can kind of guess where this will go. Gargats is doing a good job of retreating from this. Siege workshop being built, and just now saying 30 expos going into red. And red should be aware of this, but he doesn't really have the correct units. He has just camels, which are not all that great. And well, these knights from Safaro could be exactly what is going to kill all of them. Yannick has switched into cavalry archers, which was something that we expected a bit earlier. It's kinda understandable on this very open map, as they are having a very high maneuverability, and if they can kill villages and transport themselves basically onto the other player in just a matter of moments, that's of course going to be always very useful. Pretty decent army from Follow Your Might already inside his base, even though he's having this huge army heading into Miguelzin's. And let's see if he can disrupt at least those stone miners, because obviously once Miguelzin goes into the Imperial Age, he will be needing quite a lot of stone for his castles. Down watch for Miguelzin. And let's see if those guys will be numerous enough. Well, he needs to be careful, because if he isn't helped, which he of course right now is, this could be a pretty bad for him. But very nice timing and team communication by CZ, and yeah, that's a lot of problems for Miguelzin, because he thought that he can actually manage this himself, but with the help by Skull, he definitely cannot. And well, goodbye Willis. Oh well, this is going to be painful. Oh, well. Enjoy. Enjoy, very nicely played, and that's of course a huge problem for the red player, because this also means that he is having quite a lot of idols. 20 villages idle, and yeah, those farms are probably not going to be gathered from anytime soon. On the right side, the cavalry archers are trying to do their job against all those knights by Safaro, and of course that's going to be a bit of a problem, but with proper micro he will be in a pretty good spot to get rid of them as soon as he can. Some spearmen of course going to help, but Safaro is already going into Imperial Age, so CZs need to be careful, as they should be clicking into Imperial as well. First seems to be Follow Your Mind as the Mayan, which is kind of understandable, as they are usually having a pretty good economy, and he's also the one who wasn't under all that many pressure, rather all that much pressure, and was the one who was in a pretty good game overall. So yellow forced into a bit of a defensive in here, so let's switch into the raiding on the right, and well, it seems like that Miguelzin has actually been able to trap all those crossbowmen, and even though they were in pretty nice numbers together with the help by Skull, this is very nicely played by Miguelzin, and it seems like that he has, in the end, outmaneuvered his opponents quite nicely, and that's a pretty big problem, because that was a ton of resources. That was literally a ton of resources for CZs, and they don't really have all that much to show for it. They just killed some maybe 7-8 villagers in here at the bottom, and that's pretty much it, and that's definitely not enough. You can see another flank of blue archers, another crossbowman, exactly at a very nice choke point, as they are denying any kind of big fight from the knights, but he needs to be going a bit more to the right, because right now he's still very open, but yeah, it doesn't seem to matter all that much, as Miguelzin is not paying enough attention, and he is sending units one by one in there. So a bit of a problem for him. Whereas on the right, Safaro is already having castle at a pretty nice spot. As a Mongol, of course, he will be switching into Mangurais very soon, and it seems like that Yannick will be just as well advancing into Imperial Age for Paladins himself. Bit of a gold problem. Of course, I would be guessing that next castle from Safaro would be coming about here, as he really needs to protect this gold as much as he can, because as long as it is open, it is going to be a lot of problems for him in the game to come. Yannick though needs to be fully careful, but you can already see some Mangurais patrolling inside his own base, and it seems like that Yannick, or rather Skull in the pocket, is just now building castles inside his base, and he will be moving somewhere to help his ally, probably on the right. As on the left, so far Follow Your Mind was having a pretty nice game, advancing into Imperial Age, and seems to be defending quite okay. They're switching also into the plumed archers from normal arbalests, which is slightly curious, because often when you see players actually going for archers, they are also continuing with them into arbalests and then potentially switching into some eagle warriors or something like that. Another castle drop, so green should be wary that he will be under some heavy attack very soon. He is also forced to actually develop into the right side. He is basically waiting for the right moment for his knights and cavaliers and whatnot. Once he is ready for that, he's already in Imperial Age, and well, Alucard's already saying that he's going for Cavaliers, and yeah, let's see how this is going to develop in here. Bit of a problem, of course, for Blue, who is already having almost half that army. They are basically at half health, all of them, which is basically a threat for the Mangonel, and yes, it is exactly killing them in big numbers, and even though they killed him, oh yeah, this is the swan song of them, and they will be dying all here for their homeland. So nicely played yet again by Miguelzin, and yet again Falavior Mind is losing basically his whole army, but he is at least giving up those cavaliers in here. So nicely played. Whereas on the left we already see offensive going on into the opponent's base, but it seems like that Alucard should be more than prepared, and with all the upgrades in here coming in, you can see Thumbring for Safara together with Leather Archer armor, so he will be having pretty good Mango dice very soon. And well, of course, Imperial Age for Yannick will be seeing quite a lot of battles in the times to come. Village is already prepared, so I would be guessing that's for another castle, looking at 600 stone in his stockpile. And let's see if this is going to be enough, and if there's going to be some good placement for him, because obviously there is some siege already hidden for Alucard, and is it going to be enough for this? Well, it's some kind of normal ram, and he might be in a pretty good spot to actually go for it. And yeah, right now you can see that Blue should be careful, as he is going to be facing quite a lot of cavaliers, and I kind of think that Alucard slightly misplayed this, because he gave up what kind of units he's having, which could prompt Follow Your Mind to actually go for barracks right off to be prepared for what is coming into his game on the left. And yep, he needs to be careful exactly because of this. Right now he should be seen, and that's going to be potentially a bit of a problem, but not really all that much because of the ram. Whereas let's have a look somewhere else, and that's going to be, for example, a bit more to the top, where Miguelzin is going for a bit of a raiding with cavaliers and trying to find something to kill. He will be having a bit of luck, as he will be potentially killing the villager that is building the houses, or maybe even some extra economy on the farms on the left. But otherwise, oh well, that seems a bit problematic for Teal. He will be trying to finish with a wall, I would be guessing. Let's see if he can actually finish something, but I wouldn't really be all that optimistic, because those knights are exactly at the right position, and he isn't even going for the wall in, as he wasn't aware that these knights are coming in, and this might be just working as a bit of a distraction, but still, if they actually discover the gold, that's going to be a huge problem for Skull, as he will be denied any kind of gold whatsoever. So far though, Red seems to be running into a trap, so not really any kind of luck for him, whereas on the right, he is moving in with castle, so he seems to be intent on going for a double on the right side, but he needs to hurry up, as Safara aka Ryut is already quite nicely prepared and going for attack himself. Not quite a lot of villages, but unfortunately for them they are arriving at pretty sucky time for a castle. Let's see if those cavaliers are going to be enough. They seem to be. Safara doesn't want to engage in this battle, and especially with the help from Teal. Yeah, this is pretty nicely played right now, and Purple will have to be a lot more careful than that. Bit of a raiding on the left back on Follow Your Mind, but let's have a look into the offensive in here, with castle already being offensively dropped by Follow Your Mind, and yet again Alucard is going to be in knee-deep trouble, as he's getting his stone stolen yet again, and that is going to supply quite a lot of stone to build yet another castle. I would be guessing right on the place of the former TC. So far, Follow Your Mind is having a pretty strong upper hand on the left with the Plumed Archers and Arbalest, and he will be definitely needing quite a lot of help from his allies, because he doesn't seem strong enough to deal with all this. Even though he's having 137 villages and also having quite a decent amount of paladins basically waiting for the right moment. You can see the siege hidden in here at the back as well. He is going to relinquish a lot of farms, which will cost him quite a lot of resources to rebuild, and of course quite a lot of time of not doing anything with this release in there. So that's a bit of a problem potentially. Bit of a problem for him, but well, yeah. It seems like that there was a slight miscommunication on LoS team, as Miguelzin was asking his ally what he needs as resources, and well, he did send him quite a lot of food and gold, and that should supply his stables for even more paladins quite nicely. They are having also pretty decent upgrades, even though on attack he could definitely go for something else, but he seems to be going for siege rams. That's interesting choice, but I don't really think I agree with that, but he hopes that they can actually serve as some kind of tank against all those archers, and in that case, that is some kind of idea, but at the same time, that's, of course, not going to work all that well because of the reinforcements by Skull. But well, that's something that Alucard did not know. Nice using of the choke points by CZ. It's very nicely played indeed by Follow Your Might. Exactly what you want to do, because even those big numbers of paladins are not going to be useful at all once you actually cannot get to all those archers. So nicely played yet again, and let's have a look somewhere else around the map. On the right side, you can already see that basically Skull with Yannick are preparing for their full offensive in here, having a pretty decent amount of paladins and Mangurais, already elites of course, with pretty decent upgrades. But they are just probably waiting for some kind of siege, and well, looking how Yannick is building something out of his castle. No, he actually isn't, so that's probably going to be up to his ally Skull, as he is having quite a lot of castles himself. Quite risky stone gathering, but of course he needs that. And, oh well, this is going to be a very big battle. This is going to be quite big 2v2, but looking how actually Miguelzen is of course not having any paladins, as he is Chinese. But going for rocketry, it basically means that he is preparing with the castles and the Chukonos very soon as well. So this battle should be very reasonably going for CZ, quite interestingly. You can see that not even the big number of Mangurais from Safaro should be enough, of course, because of the paladins. But, oh, well, oh my. I didn't really understand actually this maneuver, because it really seemed like the CZ were winning quite comfortably. But, well, yeah. Skull didn't think so, and he retreated a bit back, but unfortunately Yannick didn't, which cost him all the paladins that he was having left, and that's of course a bit of a problem as they need to retreat back. Stables being built in here and switch into light cavalry, of course, whereas on the left side it seems like that actually Alucard is doing a pretty good job, as he is of course being supported by Red. Not by much, but even these cavalry seem to be enough, and with the stone gathering in the middle, and of course some castles basically halfway into the base of green on the left, it seems like that he will be much more interested in helping on the left than on the right. You can see that Skull is also going quite offensively with the castles into the middle, trying to secure the gold in here, and of course trying to make sure that he is a lot closer to his opponent. He is building also quite a lot of light cavalry, and he doesn't seem to be attempting to join the fray, but he seems to be much more interested in going for some raiding into the opponent's economy, and he will be trying to disrupt the trade route of his opponents. So that's nicely played, pretty good idea. Whereas, so far, same couldn't be said about LoS, because they are not going for the same kind of idea. And a lot of siege rams actually dying in here, a lot of other siege as well, but it still doesn't mean that green would be out of the woods yet, because he is losing quite a lot of ground in here, and he is under pretty heavy attack by still quite a lot of arbalists in here together with plumed archers. Finally, we are having some mangonel. I would be just waiting if somebody is going for archers, because they would be just totally wrecking totally wrecking anything that is in here, and I would be expecting that maybe the Mongol Safaro could be on the right side, but so far that doesn't seem to be the case. So let's see how this battle goes, because that seems to be a pretty strong attack. Light cavalry from the red player together with paladins from the left, and I'm kinda afraid this might be a bit of a trap for CZ. A lot of ramps, and we have this. Yeah, I would be kinda guessing exactly the same thing, as really, even though they are going to be quite nicely protected, they are still not going to be strong enough, and you can see some halberdiers even in there if you have good eyes. And yeah, they are kinda hidden amongst those archers, which means that they are not really dealing any kind of damage, but it could be considered a bit of an Easter egg. They are going to be good. Quite nasty surprise for the cavalry archers, or rather from the light cavalry and the paladins as well. Iron casting going for Follow Your Mind, so he seems to be switching into a lot more halberdiers just about now, and yeah, they seem to be doing a pretty good job on the left here against their opponents. On the right, the battle is not going anywhere as of yet. We are still at pretty much the same spot that we were a bit earlier, so not really anything substantial or interesting, but Riot seems to be slightly inching forward, and really the amount of Mangurais is quite scary, and if he can build another castle or even steal the stone from his opponent, he will be having nice way ahead of him into the victory in this game. So yet another double going to be attempted in here, and I'm just waiting for another castle to be built, because this is not really safe battleground, and he will be potentially losing both of these trebuchets in here. Siege workshop and yet another stable being built for Yannick, who is basically trying to do anything that he can, but he is right now housed, and he needs to be a bit better prepared for what is to come. He's housed because he's having 169 wheels, And I'm slightly worried it might be actually a bit too much. Looking how he doesn't have gold though, just a lot of stone, or rather a lot of wood and food. That's the reason why he's going for quite a lot of light cavalry, and he needs to be switching into trade pretty soon, because if he doesn't, yeah, he won't be able as Han to produce any kind of paladins, and this is exactly what should be his strong play. So far he's pretty strongly losing in here, I would be guessing, as it doesn't seem like that Skull is having matching numbers of Conquerors against Riot, and well, especially with the extra, even one priest would be making a difference in the play. Trying to deny the stone on the left, whereas on the very left we finally see quite a lot of halberdiers from Follow Your Mind, and he seems to be finally correctly reacting to what is happening on his battlefield. He is going to be having a pretty nice country unit against those light cavalries together with paladins, but at the same time he needs to be worried about those Chukonos already coming in with very nice upgrades. You can already see they are having pretty much all of them right now, and he will be needing some extra help from I don't know what. I'm not exactly sure what. He might be wanting to switch into some onagers. Especially, I would be expecting Teal to actually be switching into them. But looking how actually Mangudais are very gold intensive, he doesn't want to waste the resources, I would think, and wants to just continue building Mangudais as they are pretty strong. Nicely played so far in here by LoS, as they seem to be containing the situation very nicely. There's also a bit of a raiding at the very back by light cavalry, and that's exactly what actually, what was it? Yellow was doing it, or was it actually Teal? Teal was doing exactly the same thing in here at the back. I still hear somebody actually trying to kill something, but I don't really see it, so let's just go back into the battlefield on the right side, where, oh, that's quite an interesting switch from Miguelzin, who is going to a bit of a defensive, or rather defensive. It's more of an offensive actually, because those bombard towers are basically meant to protect this part of the map, and yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about a bit earlier, trying to finish the castle and trying to secure this position on the map. So nicely played by Safaro, or at least attempting to play so, but it doesn't seem like it will be enough, as Yannick with Skull are having a pretty decent army in here, and if they can get in extra siege, like those siege ramps, they will be in a pretty good spot to go fully into offensive and potentially even take down some of those castles. They are basically poised for victory in here, whereas on the left the battlefield seems to be slightly switching even more closer to actually the blue space, as it doesn't seem like that he is having enough, which basically leads me to believe that Skull is not helping here at all, which almost seems to be the case, and he's fully on the right side, which could be a bit of a problem, because on the left Alucard Guts is still receiving some help from his ally Miguelzin, even though yeah, not really all that much, but yeah, you can see that right now he's trying to finish with the walling, and once he finishes with the wall, this should protect both Alucard Guts and himself from any kind of raiding on the trade route, and they will be just free to go into the offensive fully. So, yep, big problems for Follow Your Mind coming in, as he wasn't, unfortunately for him, able to finish with the attack on the green player fast enough, and well, Miguelzin did save him, and did play this correctly together with his allied Alucard Guts. So nicely played so far by LoS on the left side, and quite hard times coming for Follow Your Mind. On the right side the battle is still raging, with at least one bombard tower killed, but well, yet another will be coming up from Miguelzin, and this seems to be a pretty big problem for CZs, because they don't have bombard towers themselves, and I don't think they have a civilization capable of them just yet. So that's a pretty big problem. Maybe actually Mongols have them, but of course that will be highly ineffective for them, exactly for the reason as you were talking about a bit earlier, because Mongols just need to build as many Mangudais as they can. Oh, finally some paladins already, or rather already yet again, coming in from Yannick, as he seems to be having quite nicely established trade route. You can see that he was dealing with some nuisance from Red, as there was still some light cavalry to get rid of, whereas do we see something in the opposing trade routes? So far, not. Some attempts are actually in here with Hussars by Skull, and yeah, he will be potentially killing some villagers, but not anything substantial. And you can already see that even Safaro is attempting to protect his trade route, as he needs all the gold that he can get in here. Some side builds are very interesting in here, as basically Miguelzin is also having to take care of some stables and siege workshops by Skull, who was trying to basically go through the middle. And yeah, you can see that finally Skull is also helping on the left, as it really seemed like that Follow Your Mind wasn't having enough to defend in here just by himself. I'm kind of thinking that they might be having a bit better chance. CZ's actually pulling through the left side, as it seems like that it's slightly more vulnerable, but at the same time, having just Yannick face against Ryut, that's a bit of a toughie, because Ryut is a very nicely boomed Mongol, and against him is just Yannick, who is... he is quite nicely also boomed Han, but yeah, the Mangurais seem to be slightly better, especially with the help of those bombard towers, and that was a very nicely prepared strategy by LoS, and definitely is making quite a lot of difference, because it means that Red can have army on the left, whereas on the right he can just build some bombard towers, and he will be happy about the result. So let's see the position in here. Alucard's already saying that they need to retreat, as they are not having really enough in here. I do have to agree with, and it really seems like that this game might be decided by who destroys the opponent straight first, as it seems to be basically a stallish game on the right side, and on the left pretty much as well, as it's just moving by inches forward and backwards, and it doesn't seem like that either team should be winning anytime soon. Nice switch by Ryut into some onagers, which is definitely something that is needed in here, and it seems like that Yannick was attempting to do the same, but since he doesn't have onagers yet, and you can already see siege onagers coming from Safarov, I would also, or rather wouldn't be surprised if we will be seeing some onagers on the left battlefield as well. Seems to be reasonably even. Up until actually those shots from those onagers, which are just going to wreck absolutely anything that resembles a trebuchet, but he still needs to be quite a lot careful, because Skull is doing a pretty good job with defending by those Mangurais, and Ryu doesn't want to lose all those onagers in here just like that, but looking also how they are going to allow him to move forward even without trebuchets. Right now he has actually 4. That's going to be a bit of a problem for him, as there's going to be quite a lot of extra help needed to defend this part of the map. On the left, let's go back to the left, we see Siege Workshop being built, as he will be attempting to basically breach the wall yet again, going right into the economy in here. But, well, he is also trying to bit of a raid in here, and will be attempting to kill as many villagers as he can. Well, it seems like that villagers were feeling a bit belligerent in there, so they definitely paid for it. And yeah, Miguel's just saying that he should be walling, his ally should be walling it. And I'm kind of thinking that he's, or rather talking to Alucard, as he needs to finish. Like about here, there seems to be a hole through. If I see this correctly, yeah, there probably will be. And he needs to finish with the walling on the right as well. What's more interesting to notice is that Miguelsen is finally switching fully into his Chukonus, and he won't be losing them anytime soon, which is of course a pretty big problem for CZs, because once the Chinese is having some critical mass of Chukonus, he will be very, very hard to take down, as with the support of Paladins, that's basically the perfect combination for the late game on any kind of map. So yep, yet again we are moving a bit forward from LoS point of view, whereas CZs are retreating a bit back, whereas on the right side it seems like that there is a bit of an attempt by Safarov actually to go for raiding into the trade route, and that's exactly what is going to happen. But unfortunately for him, he wasn't doing it covertly enough, as CZ Skull is noticing, and he is sending at least a few Mangurais himself into the back to get rid of this. On the right, yeah, you can see a pretty big problem for CZs already in, because they have lost the defensive castle that was standing here for yellow, and they seem to be slightly losing, and that's of course because thanks to all those onagers, which are exactly making the difference, because they are allowing Safarov to move forward without any kind of need of waiting for some kind of support by his ally Miguelsen. So pretty nicely played, and let's see if he can move somewhere forward and convincingly win this side of the map. Already you can see that there is some kind of preparation by Skull, also going for siege onagers right now, so that's going to be pretty much a counter, and the game is definitely not over yet, even though we are more than an hour into this game number 2 of the grand finals between CZ and LoS. Nicely played so far by Ryut, but that's just going to be a bit of a surprise waiting for him. So let's see when he actually deploys, whereas on the left we can also see on the minimap that they are already moving forward, but let's wait for those onagers if they can kill their enemies in here. Yet another bombard tower, quite nicely played by Miguelsen, and I'm kinda thinking that actually the bombard towers are the game changer in here, which basically allowed Red to move his army from the right side to the left, and that is a big problem, because it means that there's like some kind of half army more for LoS, and that's making quite a lot of difference in any kind of battle. He's also moving at least a bit of Chukonos in here as well, just to make sure that, well, right now they see that there are on edges, and they need to be careful. Oh, yeah, nice shot. Nice shot here as well by the deal player, but well, still, this is going to be quite difficult for CZs to defend. On the left, Blue seems to be doing still good enough, even though rather well enough, even though he's facing two opponents. So I kind of think that we are arriving exactly at the moment where he's going to get his house handed to him. As I won't be really expecting that he will be winning this part of the battle. As those two comes together with Paladins, I kind of think that even the Paladins would be winning by themselves, and well, I'm not exactly sure what the Mayan player can be doing right now, as he's facing absolutely terrible combination for him, because if he builds Halberdiers, they are going to be slaughtered by all those Chukons, and if he builds Blunt Archers, they are going to be killed by Paladins, so he has absolutely no way out of this position just by himself. He needs some help from his pocket player, but he doesn't seem to be exactly in a position to help him, as not even Mangurais would be enough in here, I would be guessing. Yeah, Miguel's just asking for the Paladins in there. And yeah, you can see, oh well, this is pretty nicely played, as even though Follow Your Mind is trying to finish with the castle at the top, it seems like that Miguelzin is actually having line of sight. Yeah, he needs, oh well, he knows about the castle well enough, so that's not going to be finished, and those spammed bombard towers are also going to be making quite a lot of difference on the left battlefield as well. So very nicely played by Miguelzin, and he seems to be basically the player that is deciding the match just by himself. So far, nicely played. A big problem for Follow Your Mind, because he's also going to lose this economy basically, since he wasn't able to finish the castle, whereas on the right, the battlefield is still slightly inching forward for Ryut. Doesn't seem to be losing any ground at all. He really seems to be like centimeter by centimeter moving forward, and really it takes all CZ's strength to actually deal with this problem and somehow at least slow the advance of his opponent, of their opponent. Nicely played so far, nicely played. And well, yeah, Influenza, that's pretty nice catch. If you have a look at the kill loss ratio by Yannick, 134 against 128. Yeah, that's the reason. He was just fighting all the wrong battles, unfortunately for him, and he wasn't effective at all. And that's exactly what right now results into GG's. And yeah, there was absolutely no way that actually CZs could be moving from here, and it took two players to defend just one player, Ryut, in here, with a bit of a help by the bombard towers, of course. But, well, on the left, it basically resulted in a double in here by Miguelzin together with Alucard Guts. And yeah, there was absolutely nothing that Follow Your Mind could be doing against this perfect combo against him. Very nicely played, and Alucard Guts survived the pretty strong push by Follow Your Mind in the very start of the game. So, let's have a look at the post game. We'll be seeing Safarov. Oh man, he was playing well. He was playing well. Unit skill, just a ton. Follow Your Mind, of course, quite a lot of units lost, but he was building a lot of kind of half-trash units. So yeah, and yeah, you can see quite a lot of sling from Miguelzin into Alucard Guts and also Safarao, and that's basically also what helped them quite a lot. And it's kind of surprising, because Miguelzin was, even with the very strong sling, very, very important in the game overall. So that was definitely his game. GG.